Let's do it. Another edition of The Script, the podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. His real name is Cardale Jones. His nickname is Beanie Wells. I'm Dave Holmes. We have a lot to talk about here, but remember, hit us up on social at The Script OSU. Going to be a fun show, guys. I'm calling this Accountability Wednesday when this drops. We're going to go back and look at what we said in August and grade ourselves. That's going to be humbling to say the least. But let's start with the big news this week. It is the Super Bowl. Seahawks against Patriots. A lot of Buckeyes here. We have Mike Vrabel coaching on the New England side. We have TreVeyon Henderson on the New England side. Jaxon, Smith-Njigba on the Seahawks side. So your first initial breakdown here on the game.
You know what? I'm excited about it. One, and this is not just the game. I'm talking about the national championship and I'm talking about the Super Bowl. Whoever evaluates coaches need to exactly go to how you evaluate college coaches. You need to be looking at Kirk Cinetti. How you evaluate NFL guys, you need to be looking at Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel was successful his entire career as an NFL coach. Yeah, things didn't go his way in Tennessee, but I don't think he had all the players around him. But to be able to go to a program that essentially was awful under, what was the defensive line?
Cunningham.
No, it wasn't Cunningham. Gerard Mayo, who was a young coach, but they were not a very good football team, didn't know how to motivate those guys. But for Vrabel to come in that situation in his first year, galvanize that football team, get a young quarterback able to play competent, but play great defense and get him to the Super Bowl, one of the best stories that we could be talking about in football.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, Beanie, on that one. And Mike Vrabel, I totally didn't understand the whole departure in Tennessee.
Yes.
I mean, from the years he took these guys to the playoffs, where you had a quarterback who won a playoff game with less than 100 yards throwing the ball and throughout the air. And so he's always been a great coach, dating back to his time, not just at the Houston Texans, been a great defensive coordinator, but even at Ohio State when he walked off the playing field and came into coaching the Buckeyes. So he's always had a knack for being a great coach. And then you look on the flip side, this have to be some type of crazy stat in the NFL. And I know every time we see the NFL has a unique way of bringing up crazy stats, right? Oh, he is the first coach to do this, this, and this, blah, blah, blah. This have to be the first coach in his first year to take a team who won 4 games last year or whatever it was to go to a Super Bowl, and then also with a young quarterback and who's also probably going to win the MVP. It's got to be the first for all those.
Yeah, it's nuts. And it didn't end well in Tennessee, but like Cardale referenced there, I mean, he took Ryan Tannehill to the 1 seed in the AFC at one point. I mean, they were the 1 seed in the AFC, and they were not a good team. So it's funny, whenever I see a team like the Browns get rid of Kevin Stefanski or the Titans get rid of Mike Vrabel, I always think that's what you thought the problem was all along.
Right, exactly.
You really think it wasn't a cultural thing above them.
Right.
Yeah, and it's funny when you see, like in the NFL, they seem to recycle the same maybe 6 to 10 coaches, maybe 11 coaches, and like you said, oh man, Stefanski couldn't get it here, couldn't get it done with the Browns. He sucks. He's horrible. Okay, 2-time coach of the year, and okay, hey, the Browns don't want you. How about Atlanta? We make you the highest paid coach in NFL history.
Right.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. The other thing that's really cool here, TreVeyon Henderson, a chance to go back to back with a national championship and a Super Bowl, something that the Bills let you down on, my man. The Bills had their act together. So what do you guys think of this chance to go? This is like I would love to know the stat here. That has to be incredibly rare, too, to go back-to-back college pro.
No, man, it's amazing. I mean, it's a tribute to obviously going into the right situation. And then when you look at TreVeyon, the production that he's had there, the impact that he's had on that football team has been incredible. You just go back and you look at Mike Vrabel, right, and how he structures his football team and how he likes to employ his offense. It's going to be run first. It's going to be run first. You go back and you look at Tennessee. He was the one who got Derrick Henry going. Remember, prior to Mike Vrabel getting there, Derrick Henry was the backup running back.
Yeah.
He was the backup to DeMarco Jones. Vrabel gets there. He gets him going. They're a perennial playoff football team, and the way he was orchestrating that team with Ryan Tannehill and what's the other kid's name that you played against in the national championship? The quarterback from Oregon. He had Marcus Mariota. He got those guys to be making deep runs in the playoffs. And now we're talking about TreVeyon Henderson. I think he went to the right situation to where he's got a coach that wants to utilize him, not just in the run game, but in the pass game. And it would be an amazing feat if he was to absolutely go and win a national championship. It's no reason why good players and great coaches win. Right? I mean, we can always have great coaches and great players, and for whatever reason, it doesn't work. But no, they're in New England at the top with Robert Kraft and whoever's in the front office making the right decisions. They are all on one accord, and this is what we're seeing.
And that's what you usually see what happens with the good programs in the NFL who have the longevity is when the ownership, the GM, and the head coach are on the same accord. Now, when you have some type of disconnect on whatever level of those three, that's when you see bad teams and you like, man, how is this team this bad? And they got, Justin Jefferson or they got, Joe Burrow or whatever the case may be. Not saying the Bengals and the Vikings are bad teams, but when everyone is not on the same accord in the front office, it's hard to get everything you need to go in the right direction. But TreVeyon Henderson been in a situation again for another long season. I can only imagine how his body feels of going through the longest season in the college football history at the time last year, and the run they went on and win a national championship, and then going right into the NFL and going all the way into the final game as well.
You know who's going to remind me of at the next level? Kevin Falk. He's in the right situation to be exactly who Kevin Falk is for the New England Patriots. And, I love the 1-2 punch that they have with what's his last name?
Ramondre Stevenson.
And then, coupled with TreVeyon. This is a match made in heaven. I can't wait to obviously see the Super Bowl, but to watch these two guys' career ascend throughout the rest of the way.
Well, we're going to talk about JSN in a few minutes when we talk about awards for the season, but I do want to hit on Jaxon Smith-Njigba now, all right? For the Seahawks, chance to win a Super Bowl. Guys, we thought it was kind of crazy when Brian Hartline said he might be the best of all of them when he was around Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, these other guys. Now he might be the best receiver in the NFL. I mean, Justin Jefferson, not of his own fault, obviously, with the quarterback he's dealing with. He might be the best receiver in the NFL right now.
Well, the common denominator is, last year, who we talking about the best receiver in the NFL? Justin Jefferson. This year, who we talking about? JSN. What's the common denominator? Sam Darnold.
The Kingmaker.
Right. No, I think it goes back to the point of, being in the right place at the right time and having the right pieces around you. Clearly, JSN, what we've seen from him, not just at the time of Ohio State, but in particular that Rose Bowl game versus Utah, it was like putting everyone on notice, because that was, for me, I was like, I want to see how he really do, because remember, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, they set out that game.
He was the true alpha that game.
And he put those guys on full display. So, what he's doing right now at this level and how consistent he is, you see why the Seahawks was okay with going away with a franchise receiver in DK Metcalf and say, we putting all our eggs in this basket because we got to get ready and pay him a lot of money here in this offseason. And I think they made the right bet.
And it wasn't just that Brian Hartline was saying it. If you go back and you look at the interviews,
the players,
Chris Olave
the players said,
Garrett Wilson was saying it.
Right.
Everybody in that receiving room said he is next in line and he is the best out of all of us. And you're watching it take place at the next level. And it's not an easy thing to do. I don't care who your quarterback is. When you get to the NFL, it's a learning curve. And, the speed of the game is a little bit different. And I don't mean like physical speed, but mental speed, because you have to go out and recite a playbook and make that seamless transition. And he's done it masterfully. And like Cardale said, I mean, who in the world isn't wanting a quarterback that was seeing ghosts 6-7 years ago? Everybody wants it.
So let's talk about that quarterback. Let's talk about the QB matchup. You have Drake May, year 2, unbelievable season, might win the MVP. It's going to be him or Matthew Stafford, most likely. Then you have Sam Darnold, who was left on the scrap heap by the Jets, the Panthers, the Vikings. I mean, he got a GM fired in Minnesota because they moved on for him to take JJ. So you're my quarterback. What do you make of the QB battle here?
I'm loving it, and in particular, I want to hit on Sam Darnold. I think this is a product of one man's trash is another man's treasure. When have we ever seen a Jets quarterback have success? But on the flip side, how many Jets quarterbacks have we seen leave the Jets and have a lot of success? So I think it's right place at the right time and being in the right situation and having the right pieces around you, especially at that position. But the battle is going to be great. You got two guys who are still in a position in their careers where they want to prove a lot of doubters wrong. Sam Darnold clearly was thrown away from, in my opinion, for a couple of teams and written off, by NFL. And then you got Drake May, who had a horrible rookie season. And now I'm pretty much, with a new whole locker room and a new staff, has completely transformed and flipped his career around already at this young stage of his career. So he will know what it takes now to continue to play at a Super Bowl level, having this so early in his career. So it's going to be an interesting battle. Both guys get things done in their own ways, respectfully. But it's going to be a great Super Bowl battle for both teams, and I can't wait to see the quarterback battle.
Yeah, this should be, a case study in terms of a deeper dive across the NFL board and understanding how guys are not developed and how guys are not given enough time to develop and be in the right situation. I mean, we see time and time again where a player goes somewhere who was all world in college and then all of a sudden looks like a bust. His talent didn't change. It's the organization in which he's in. And sometimes you have people, like we just talked about, upstairs who are not on the same page and they want different things. And Cardale, a couple of weeks ago, I said you was crazy for saying Dante Moore made the right decision of going back to school or going back to school.
Yeah.
Well, I'm on board with you now. He made the right decision in going back to school because, again, if he was going to go to the New York Jets, we've seen time and time again those guys fail because they have front offices that are on the same page. And it's something that needs to happen because we're talking about the National Football League, $1 billion industry, and you're going and drafting quarterbacks in the first, second round and throwing those guys to the fire, and not everybody deserves to be thrown to the fire, especially if you don't have a patient organization.
Yeah. And the pieces around him, I think the pieces around him is just as important as the front office and believing in the guy because the talent is never going to be an issue at the National Football League. They recruit and they scout all around the world. So the talent is never going to be an issue. It's right place, right time, and putting the right pieces around the guy to have success versus throwing them out to the wolves. Like we've seen it so many times with young quarterbacks and having all the talent, but not having maybe an offensive line consistently or weapons to throw the ball downfield. And then we see organizations reap the benefits of a young guy as a young Josh Allen in his career, or maybe even, let's say, really even a young Joe Burrow as his career before they start trying to protect him and put the pieces around him as well to see, hey, let's stick it out. He got the talent. Let's make sure we can, put guys around him to make sure he has success.
Yeah, it's interesting when you see guys like Baker Mayfield got linked up with Liam Cohen in Tampa Bay. Boom. Once Caleb Williams got Ben Johnson, boom.
And JT Barrett.
Yeah, and JT Barrett. Yeah, so let's talk about some of these awards here. Well, actually, let's get a quick pick here. Seahawks by 4.5. My gut says Seattle wins the game, but I would actually take the Pats with the 4.5 because I'm not 100% sure, and that's a big line.
This is going to be tough for me, man. I love Vrabel. I love all the players that they have. Stephon Diggs has been wonderful there. TreVeyon, but I just think that redemption factor for the Seattle Seahawks is going to be in their mind. Even though nobody's on that roster the same, ownership is still the same. So
what
that
Beanie's
message is trickling down.
Is hand the ball off to Kenneth Walker if you're at the one.
And he's a beast.
He's a beast. Don't
ball.
throw it.
Right.
Because the ghost of Malcolm Butler will come pick that thing off.
I'd love to see Vrabel win it, but I just think that the Seattle Seahawks have a little bit more to get it done.
Yeah, I think this is tough. Yeah, because you want to go for Vrabel and everything he has done and capping off a magical season. And then when we're talking about, we're going to get into NFL awards here. I hope we got Coach of the Year that we're going to talk about too, because we got some great coaches this past year. But I got the Seahawks now. I'm with you, Dave. 4.5 is basically 3 touchdowns at this point in the Super Bowl. Yeah. So if the line dropped below 3, I feel good with taking Seattle, but I'm taking Seattle money line. But I think the Pats will cover.
I agree. 21-17 is a cover. 31-27, 24-20 is a cover. Like again, under 3, I'm talking Seattle. All right, time now for our Dr. Pepper look at the award season. We're going to hand out our NFL awards here. And let's start. You want to start? Let's go Coach of the Year. Let's start Coach of the Year because Vrabel's in the running. You got Mike McCarthy. You have Ben Johnson. You saw a lot of good coaching jobs. What do you think was the best coaching job this year?
Yeah, I think it's easy. I think it's Mike Vrabel. Okay. I mean, the coach to come in of a team that won 4 games and lead you to a Super Bowl and get everybody on that team to elevate their game. When you hear players talk, they ask, what's the difference with Mike Vrabel? It's that he cares about his guys. He's around his guys. It's not one of those ordeals to where you just see a coach in passing and that's it. Coaches have to be able to relate to their guys, and Mike Vrabel can do it with the best of them because he's played the game, and then he understands what it's like to be in the trenches. So Vrabel to me.
By the way, if I said Mike McCarthy on accident, it's Mike McDonald. Mike McCarthy ain't winning any coaching awards this year. Sorry about that.
I got to go with Ben Johnson, I think, because you look at what he did with that Chicago organization, bringing life back in that organization from traditionally having seen really good days in a very long time. Now, in the past was just relevant, more recently than the Bears were relevant. But I think Vrabel is going to win it because this is a what have you done for me lately type of situation. So everyone's going to remember this last game, which is a Super Bowl, versus how, the Bears came up short versus the Rams. But I think they had over they had like 6 or 7 comeback wins in the fourth quarter and, some things they did and really transforming Caleb Williams' career. to making him really look like that number one pick now. I like Ben Johnson for this one.
You know, I would take Mike McDonald, who doesn't get enough respect. How do I know that? Because I just called him Mike McCarthy a minute ago. Mike McDonald should win it. And here's why. I think he won the best division in all of football, having to beat the Rams and the 49ers. Who are the coaches of those teams? Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan. He out-chess matched those guys. Won the NFC with a quarterback that nobody wanted. I would actually go with Mike McDonald. Okay, so now let's talk MVP. To me, it's a two-man race. It's either Drake May or Matthew Stafford. So I lean Drake May, led the league in QBR, 9-0 on the road this year. So I go Drake May. He could make more plays with his feet. That's my pick.
Yeah, I think you're a little bit a victim of circumstance, which is nothing wrong with that. Obviously, Drake May is in the Super Bowl, right? Mm-hmm. But I got to go Matt Stafford. For him to be in year 17, for him to be with a football team, in my opinion, that wasn't the greatest team, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Right.
I mean, to lead the charge and have them a game away from being in the Super Bowl, and put up the gaudy numbers that he hasn't put up in his career ever, I got to go Matt Stafford.
Yeah, I got to go with Stafford on this one as well because I think he did more with a little less overall as a team. Now, I'm taking that Rams offense and those weapons with Puka and Devontae over the weapons what the Patriots might have with Drake May. But overall, I think Drake May is a product of his circumstances, which is nothing wrong with that because he's going to continue to be a great quarterback. And I think, the past win is, I think he's going to be a Super Bowl MVP. But I think I'll take Matt Stafford and what he done this point.
Matt Stafford was drafted when I was drafted. I hadn't played football in 12 years. This guy's still out there playing. That's crazy.
That is nuts.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. Defensive player of the year, let's just say Myles Garrett's 23 sacks. We're done, right? Right. Okay. No. Offensive player of the year. Now, this has kind of become the best non-quarterback award because the league has changed over time where it's like you're going to be a quarterback MVP every single year. We've seen a couple changes or a couple non-cases. Maybe did Adrian Peterson win?
Adrian Peterson ran.
It's just been it's once every 2 decades. So the best non-quarterback for me, JSN, 119 catches, 1793 yards, 10 scores.
I think it's hard to go away from JSN. You can look at that team and say he's one of the reasons as to why they're in the Super Bowl. When things were not great on the offensive end, you could throw this dude a 2-yard hitch and he could take it 70 yards. That's who he's been all season long. So it's hard to go away from that for me.
Man, this is going to be tough. And then Puka.
Puka's unbelievable.
Puka played one last game due to injury, or maybe two due to injuries. Yeah. And then clearly you see with the matchup, both of them just had against each other last week in the conference championship game. I don't know. I don't think it's a walk away with JSN. Clearly, my vote will be JSN, but I wouldn't be mad if Puka won this year as well because both of those guys put up some ungodly numbers. With also being on the other side of potential Hall of Fame receivers with Cooper Kupp and then Devontae Adams too. So they made Hall of Famers a second choice.
Right. It's kind of funny if you had like Puka and JSN just stand there in a t-shirt and shorts, and 15, 20 years ago, the best receivers were like Randy Moss and Terrell Owens.
Right.
Isn't it interesting body type?
Oh my gosh. You will walk right past those two.
Yeah.
Walk right past them.
The game walk right past Puka right now and not know who he was. He's just a regular guy.
Just unbelievable receivers, though. All right. Offensive Rookie of the Year is interesting. All right. Ted McMillan is your favorite. He's my choice, the receiver from the Panthers, getting them into the playoffs with a average quarterback play at best from Bryce Young. But some people think Tyler Shuck only played half a season, but the Saints are really good. Jaxon Dart lit a fire with the Giants. TreVeyon got hot for a minute, but he's not going to be in there. Emeka was the runaway favorite the first half of the season, then fizzled. What do you guys think?
I think to me it comes down between Ted McMillan and Tyler Shuck. Those two guys have been phenomenal. Tyler Shuck, like you said, he played half of a season, but when he did play, you can sit there and say, you know what? The New Orleans Saints have their quarterback.
Yeah.
They got their guy of the future. But Ted, when you watch him play and you watch how things have went in Carolina for a number of years, and then all of a sudden they get him, he's a safety blanket. He's gotten that team to be able to be in the playoffs, which is something that they've never done. And now, we're talking about a situation to where their quarterback is no longer going to be on the chopping block because he has a weapon around him like Ted.
Yeah. I like Ted in this situation just because Sutton haven't played the whole season. I think he's the safest choice if I'm putting my money on a guy. And then like Beanie said, who's a great safety blanket for Bryce Young. And, got to get a little bit more consistent with catching the football, but you can't doubt that his ability, his playmaking ability, his big play ability is definitely a safety blanket for any quarterback.
Defensive Rookie of the Year, Carson Schlesinger for the Browns, runaway favorite, 114 tackles. We all agree there.
100%. You know what's crazy? It's crazy as hell that we are sitting here talking about the Browns having the Defensive Player of the Year, defensive rookie of the year.
Oh, my goodness.
And we were as bad as we were as a whole football team. That screams issues. Big time.
Well, you know who,
not on the defensive side.
Yeah.
you know who called that bad season? Coming up next on The Script, a podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes, we're going back to August, and we are going with an accountability lesson here. What were we right about? What were we wrong about? Stay with us. Welcome back to The Script, a podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Hit us up at The Script OSU. If you're watching on YouTube right now, click subscribe. Hit us up on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Guys, a lot of podcasts just talk, but we actually go back and hold ourselves accountable. So we went through the archives. We went back into our shows in August when we made all our preseason predictions. It's Accountability Wednesday here on The Script. So let's start with C.J. Stroud. Over under 21.5 touchdowns. All three of us said over, and our boy finished under with 19. Now, we can play the injury card here. He missed 3 games, so he just would have needed 3 touchdowns in those 3 games. So I'm going to let us off the hook here.
Yes, I'm okay with that. And then also losing your number 1 weapon, Nico Collins, will also kind of put a damper in those things as well. But also, CJ got to throw it to the guys in the same color jersey, too. That would help. But that's our guy, man. I can't wait for him to rebound this upcoming and really take the bull by his horns this upcoming offseason, because clearly not just myself, but everybody's expecting a big year from him going to his 4th year.
Yeah, I'm with you. You know, obviously he missed the games, missed his top target, and went outside probably a little bit too much. You know, I do not know that one. I was just saying that.
Baby love Houston.
Right, I just know Houston's a crazy place. But nonetheless, I expect him to bounce back in a major way. And look, he was right there on the cusp with 19 touchdowns. Most certainly could have done it, and I think he will next year.
Okay, so I love how I said this is about accountability, and so far we're taking 0 accountability. I'm going to put my hand up. I got this next one wrong. All 3 of us took Marvin Harrison Jr.'s over on 7.5 touchdowns. He finished with 4. Now, Marvin also missed a few games. It doesn't matter. Even if he played all these games, he wasn't getting there. He didn't have a 100-yard game all season, guys. 98 yards, his top game of the season.
Look, I'm not taking accountability for that. They fired a coach for a reason. They fired a coach because he wasn't figuring out ways to use one of his best young talents in Marvin Harrison Jr. I expect that to be more, probably doubled next year.
But they had some guy named Michael Wilson who looked like Jerry Rice in 1989. I mean, he looked like prime Jerry Rice out there on your Cardinals.
Exactly. Yeah, this one was tough and was a head scratcher for me because with Kyler Murray coming back and being healthy and, them putting some pieces around him up front, I thought Marvin Harrison would definitely have a breakout year. Yeah, completely missed the ball on this one.
All right, Justin Fields over under 15.5 passing touchdowns. He wasn't even close. He finished with 7. Ooh. Beanie had the over. Cardale and I were both on the under. Well done, my man. 12. All right, Beanie, explain yourself.
But you guys know me, so I am a homer. I am a victim of the moment.
Mr. Over.
I am a human being because you can show me something real quick and I'm jumping on that bandwagon really quick. And I was jumping on the bandwagon of Justin Fields throwing 15 touchdown passes, saying, you know what, this is going to be the first time he has an organization that believes in him. I just happened to forget it was the Jets.
Yeah. And it's so funny, Cardale, because you and I, part of my thesis on the under was that he might get hurt. I thought it was injury. Mm-hmm. I didn't think the Jets would just pull the rug on him.
Like me either. And my under, if I can remember correctly, was more so because I knew how much they was use them in a run game.
Yeah.
And then also what was writing on the wall as well, if things wasn't going as planned, bringing in Tyrod Taylor too. And we know how great Tyrod Taylor has been, not just as a backup, but as a starter as well. And some of the things he's willing to do or he's able to do. I'm talking about fresh. I mean, coming off the bench cold, he can go in there and lead a team on the game-winning drive. So that played into my thesis of why I want to take the under on the 15 passing touchdowns.
Okay, I'm taking 0 accountability on this next one. Garrett Wilson was over under 4.5 touchdowns. That line was a slam dunk. All 3 of us took over. He finished with 4. And he missed 9 games.
Yes.
Are you kidding me?
Yes.
This to me was like by far the worst luck we ran into.
That by far. And this is the one I did not take accountability for because he was at a certain point and then Bryce Hall?
Bryce Hall.
Yeah. I mean, that guy just turns into Superman around the trade town every year. It's kind of crazy. But up until then, Garrett was basically their only, unfortunately, bright spot on offense all year.
Yeah, no, man, that's what it was. He was injured. He was banged up. And like you said, Bryce Hall, I mean, they better be giving him a new contract or something. I don't even know matter of fact, I don't even know if I want a new contract if it's the Jets because they're so crazy. But nonetheless, when you talk about Garrett Wilson, 4.5 touchdowns, he's going to get that if he plays, I don't know, 9 games.
Yeah.
He was just banged up and injured.
Yeah, he missed over half the season. Okay, the next one is where I'm ready to tap dance. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to get up here and start dancing because Jaxon Smith-Njigba was 950 yards. These two so-called former players took the under. I took the over, and he doubled it.
You know what it was?
What was it?
I can tell you what it was for me. I don't know what the fuck it was for Beanie.
I'm going to sit back and just listen.
Well, for me, it was the fact that I wasn't a believer in Sam Darnold.
Oh, okay.
That's exactly what it was.
He just had in Minnesota?
Yeah, I thought he caught lightning in a bottle. I didn't think he was going to go to Seattle and, do 10 times better than he did in Minnesota. So I just wasn't a believer. I thought Jaxon would be good. And at this point in time, I don't know that we had a situation to where DK was traded, right? He wasn't the number one option.
We did know that because they brought in Cup.
Yeah.
They brought in Cup. Yeah, because this was
making
August show. Yeah. No accountability. No, you know what? I knew for me because I took so many guys for the over at that point of the show. I said, okay, damn, the last one, okay, under. I didn't want to seem like a homer. And also in my defense, I did not know how he would respond being a true number one guy.
Yeah.
So, but he responded really well.
Yeah, he seemed to figure it out.
Yeah.
All right, so we did 2 team over-unders. The Bengals over 9.5 wins. All 3 of us missed with the over. Again, Joe Burrow.
Injuries, yeah.
That kills it, right?
Yeah, that kills it.
Yeah.
That kills it. And I thought we was off to such a good start because they week 1, they beat the Browns in Cleveland. And even though they didn't look as good, but they still got the win versus that dominant defense. I thought we was like freaking going to sell on that one.
So the last one here, the Browns over under 5.5. They hit 5, so they hit the under. I had the under. Both these guys have the over. And here's what we learned, guys. The closer you are to Cleveland, the less your heart can be impartial. We got Cleveland guy. We got Akron guy.
I'm pulling up their schedule right now.
I'm down there in the Canton area. And once you get about an hour south, we just start to see it for what it is. We have clear eyes. We can see the Browns for what they are. Although I did get nervous. You actually, I think, got it at 4.5.
I got the actual bet in personally at 4.5.
Yes.
And it was before the show because I remember saying, 5.5? Oh, I'm feeling good because I got it at 4.5.
Yeah.
But I still felt good at 5.5 though.
Well,
I felt really good at 4.5.
They just had to win one more. Go ahead and just read some of these near misses.
These near misses are the Minnesota Vikings. It was 21-17.
Yeah.
I remember sitting there saying they should have won that game. They had some kicking blunders. And then, even though the score was 34-10, I don't know if you guys remember that Detroit Lions game. That was a game down the stretch that they could have won late in the fourth quarter.
They went nuts in the fourth.
Detroit went crazy in the fourth.
What's the name? Dropped a couple of balls. Jerry Jeudy dropped a couple of balls. And then you go back and you look at the Jets game. That was 20-27, a game they should have won.
Bowl,
The second time that they played the Baltimore Ravens,
they
were in control of that game the entire time. And then late in the game, the Baltimore Ravens had their heroics. That game was 23-16. And the rest of them, we can go on and on. Well, no, the Bills, hell. December 21st was 20-23.
Game-winning drive.
Again, when you look at the Browns schedule and you look at the Browns record, and I'm making a case for the Browns, they aren't as bad as their schedule said, as their record said. They were in a lot of these football games, and it just leads me to believe maybe the coaching change is going to do some wonders for this football team.
Well, they have the defensive rookie of the year, the defensive player of the year, and a Pro Bowl quarterback.
Yeah. What more can you want?
What more could you want? What more could you want? All right, coming up next here on the Scripted Podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes, a subtle coaching change by Ohio State this week, but it could actually be a very big deal. I'll hit these guys up and see what they think coming up. Welcome back to the Scripted Podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Hit us up at TheScriptOSU. Follow us on all social media. Right there. All right, guys, time now for our Buckeye basement solution. We diagnose a problem and try to come up with a way to fix it. The Buckeyes had a problem, and it's been a problem for quite some time. Special teams has been an issue. They got rid of Parker Fleming a couple of years ago. Ryan Day has never had a full-time special teams coordinator. He does now. His name is Robbie Disher. He comes from Illinois. He was a special teams coach there and tight end. So, guys, Buckeye basement solution time. Is this what Ohio State needs? A full-time guy? And how did you guys address this when you were with Tress and Urban?
100%. This is absolutely needed. You talk about the teams in the National Football League, all of those guys have dedicated coaches to special teams only. And I think back to my time at Ohio State. I want to say Luke Fickell and PJ Fleck was over our special teams at the point in time. PJ Fleck obviously being the head coach right now at Minnesota, but Luke Fickell was one of the coaches that was over our special teams. And I can't remember one of the other coaches that we had that was on special teams, but nonetheless, those guys are position coaches as well. So they're pulling double duty. So imagine how hard it is to really focus on your linebacking group, and they also focus on special teams, because you have a lot of guys that not just are in your linebacker room on special teams, but they're all over the roster. So I think this is a great move for Ohio State. Heck, it would be a great move for college football to have a bunch of special teams solely coaches, and think about how much better that would make those units.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, Kerry Combs was our special teams guy, who was our defensive back coach, but he took on the duty of being with the special teams as well. And now I think that's what his title is at Michigan. I think that's what he went up there for, to be the dedicated special teams guy. So I like it, because now you're not putting too much on other guys' plates, and he has that one focus, and that's solely one focus to get those guys ready on special teams.
Yeah, I was wondering that. I mean, how much work do you guys do on special teams in practice? And also one other thing, the guys that play special teams matters. I know under Urban, like Terry McLaurin was one of the best special teams players.
Devin Smith.
Yeah, Devin Smith. Like
Zeke Elliott was it. I mean,
his first year.
He put all his dogs on special teams.
Yeah. Would you guys put some of your best players, or do you try to make that freshman, sophomores? How would you play the guys?
So if I was doing it, I would put all my dogs on special teams. One, because obviously at the next level, you understand how important special teams are. And then you could be a great player in college football, but you may be a special teams guy at the next level. And if you've shown you can do it on a consistent basis at this level, then, I mean, you may get an opportunity. Heck, I mean, you think about Nate Ebner. Nate Ebner never started a down of defense at Ohio State. Was an all-world A special teams player, gets an opportunity to play, 9-10 years in the NFL and win 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah, and one other thing, by the way, as a running back, Beanie, so often at the NFL level, the second best running back is inactive on game day, doesn't make the 53, because the number 3 or 4 guy is the special teams guy.
100%.
It gets you on the field. Yeah, Carter.
No, for sure. I mean, I remember a few times in the NFL where I just did like kind of the walkthrough, or like kind of subbed in for a guy, especially because one of our guys were on a team and I want to give him a little break on his legs.
Yeah.
And just, I got a new, different perspective and respect of it, running down on kickoff or being on kick return. And clearly we watching the car. Hey, Cardale, this is you going to do this. And I do run back and I turn back around, and, you know, it's a guy full speed in front of you and he's 2 yards away. And you like, ole. Like, you know what I'm saying? So for guys who don't ole, you know, I got a different respect for guys. And that's just in practice. So I can only imagine it's 10 times faster in the game.
And when you pit like your dogs and just people on special teams in general, it breeds a different mentality. If you came up through the special teams rake, by the time you were a starter, your mentality is a little bit different, because you know you got to go balls to the walls, and I'm headhunting every opportunity that I get. So, yeah, seriously.
That's good. That's our Buckeye basement solution. If your damp or wet basement needs a quality solution by a local company, make sure you hit up our guy, Brian Mastroianni. He's the head there at Buckeye Basement Solutions, BuckeyeBasementSolutions.com, or 614-956-4592. All right, guys, we have a spring game date set. It is April 18th. Also my birthday. I'm a size medium or large, depends. You guys give me a gift. Okay, April 18th spring game. What are you guys looking forward to as we get ready to talk spring football? Give me maybe a storyline that you're looking forward to.
You know, I'm looking at the quarterbacks. Obviously, we know Julian Sain is going to come out the starting quarterback, right? I'm looking forward to seeing TreVeyon St. Clair and what he brings to the table. Does he look like a guy that can play? Can we get excited about him in his future? And then I think the biggest thing is looking at the defense. I mean, we're talking about back-to-back years where Ohio State are losing multiple guys at key positions on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Who can step up and make those plays and be those perennial starters that, you know, we've been accustomed to seeing out there on the football field. And I know it's just a spring game and you're not going to be able to see everything and tell everything from that game, but it's going to be a good step in the right direction, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's funny. Like last time this year, our number one concern was, oh man, how's the defense going to look? You lose all these starters, these guys going to the draft. Last year they had one guy get drafted in the first round. This year they're going to have 4, you know, from this defense, which is crazy. But yeah, I think more so I'm looking forward to the spring practices and having the privilege to peek my head into the Woody Hayes, because we know the game is going to be a dress rehearsal, very low impact, and the you know, a lot of the guys that we probably wanted to see is not going to play as much. But yeah, I think it's going to be great to see the young up and coming talent like St. Clair and then some of the young guys on defense as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Arthur Smith and the formations he puts out there. Now, you're not going to show a ton in a spring game. I get that. But in the NFL, he was real heavy on the run game, real heavy on the tight ends. what kind of Arthur Smith offense are we going to see? Because there's a blend there. It's not going to be Arthur Smith. It's going to be Ryan Day's vision of Arthur Smith. So that's what I'm most curious to look at. Do you guys think things will look a little different offensively?
I'm expecting to look drastically different, but I just do think there's going to be a little bit more variations. There's going to be a little bit more focus on, in my opinion, I would think, quarterback runs. So I think we'll see Julian saying, know and understand in certain situations, hey, when you got 3 yards right in front of you and you have nobody open downfield, take off and go get it. Just because of that's what he was more used to coaching Lamar Jackson. Not to say that they're the same caliber athlete, but I think that mentality is going to be there.
Yeah. Okay. Texas is a 2.5-point favorite against the Buckeyes on the early lines. Why do we care about a line that's still 7 months away? Well, because this is the first time Ohio State has been an underdog since November 25th of 2023. That was the Michigan game that they lost. What do you guys think? You all right with the Buckeyes being a dog at Texas?
I'm perfectly fine with it. One, Texas is a hard place to play. And then Texas has a lot of talent coming back. And one of the more important pieces, they got their starting quarterback coming back. And by the way, they got one of the best defensive players in probably next year's draft coming back in Colin Simmons. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and then they got the number one player, in my opinion, in the transfer portal at the receiver position in Corey Coleman. And the way that, Arch Manning played the rest of the season, the end this past season was phenomenal. So if he can pick up the pace from last year and dial in with a new weapon, a true weapon that they have the receiver position, I don't expect him to lead the team in rushing this year.
Let's finish up here with a very interesting story. Duke's quarterback, Darian Mensah, now going to Miami. I mean, he was leaving. He's coming back to Duke. Now, this has been a mess. It's something that this is kind of the new world of college football, I guess. Beanie, you've got some feelings here on Mr. Mensah.
Yeah, it's crazy. He was in a 2-year, $8 million deal there at Duke. And, when you watch Darian Mensah play, this kid is dynamic. I watched him at Tulane. He was balling all over the field. And you watched him last year. He was a huge catalyst for that football team. Unfortunately, they didn't have a good defense for Duke, but the type of playmaker that he is through the air and on the ground. I think they're getting a hell of a football player, but it was just interesting knowing that there was implications coming out that, Duke was going to try to take him to court. They wanted this thing to be, they wanted him to be held accountable to the contract in which he signed. And obviously we know there's no collective bargaining agreement in college sports right now, but it's just a wild, wild west in which we live in. And he was making 2 for $8. I think now he's probably making $10 million on a 1-year deal there in Miami. Like, come on, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I think, the situation is crazy, but I think this ultimately, and other situations similar to this, is going to play into the hands of the coaches and the higher-ups who's going to push for a collective bargaining agreement to avoid them from being in situations like this. Because at the end of the day, these players are held to no accountability when you're talking about signing a freaking contract in agreement between them and the university or collective, however that contract was signed, even though I'm for the players getting paid, and then the way he went about it was kind of, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. I was always taught you don't want to burn bridges, especially on the exit, because you never know how things can turn out for you. And, dealing back with these people, especially, people with such power in this world from a Duke education. So those are the type of things I have more concern about for these athletes as they're making these decisions. They're going to be good athletes no matter where they go. It's a way you go about things, and I think he went about it completely wrong.
Yeah, it's funny. My whole career, or my whole life, it's been these coaches' contracts mean nothing. They can bolt at any time. And now we're to the place where that's the players where it means nothing. Very interesting. I do want to ask you guys this about Miami. They bring in Cam Ward. They bring in Carson Beck. They now bring in Darian Mensah. If you're a 16-year-old quarterback, do you even consider Miami? I mean, why?
Yeah, after you play at Miami of Ohio for a few years.
That's what I'm saying. How do you even recruit high school quarterbacks? Or if you're Miami, do you say, we don't even care anymore about
It's so hard. I mean, because right now, obviously, you grow up a fan of the University of Miami Hurricanes. You want to play there. It's a lifelong dream. But you got to understand, are you going to be able to play? Because right now, they've shown that their trend is going and getting veteran guys. And again, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. It's working. It's working for those guys. I mean, heck, one of those guys ended up winning the Heisman Trophy, and the other one had him playing in a national championship. But you have to sit back and understand, if your parents watching the show or listening to the show, you have to really understand what is going to be the best situation for your child, especially if you want them to play right now. Now, if you're okay with your kid developing and getting an opportunity up in his 3rd or 4th year, I get it, understand. But if you want your child to play right now, It's a completely different world. The landscape of college football has changed. You're better off going to a place like Ohio University, like Miami, to where they're focusing on high school talent and developing those guys still, not jumping off the board and going to one of those big name schools.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, it's just such a different world, man. Such a different world. Well, that'll do it for us here on The Script Podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Hit us up at The Script OSU everywhere on social. Click subscribe if you ignored the 2 previous times I told you to click subscribe. Now's the time you really got to do it. We'll see you back here next week.